Hello and welcome back to another video. We have a sketchbook tour for you today. I have just finished this grotty looking sketchbook. This is an Etcher sketchbook. It is hot press watercolour sketchbook. I really rate these. I've already done a sketchbook tour of one of these, but an A6 sized one. This is an A5 and like I said, I've just finished it. I believe this has taken me a couple of years of doing it. The last few sketchbooks have been spanning over a couple of years, just purely because I have had a few on the go at the same time, and so I'm trying to get all of those done so that when I start my next sketchbook, it is the only sketchbook I do, and hopefully we will then complete them a little bit quicker. But let's dive right into this. This is made up of like a canvasy fabric material. My first Etcher sketchbook that I completed, I did paint the front of it, but I decided to leave this kind of grungy looking. It looks very well used and very well loved. Maybe in the future we'll paint something on top of it. So the first page is of this lovely painting of Bamburgh Castle in Northumbria, the UK. I have visited there on and off most of my life actually. Northumbria is my favourite place in the UK to go and visit, and this was a photograph I took, and I received some acrylic paints for Christmas 2022, I believe, and I sat down over New Year's and kind of just sat down and painted this, and I really like it. I got quite a lot of detail into the brickwork, some really nice shadowing, some lovely foliage at the bottom, and a really nice cloudy looking sky at the top. I really enjoyed doing that, and I want to do some more acrylic paintings in the future. Then we move on to some just slightly more abstract artwork. I also received some gouache that year, and I believe I wanted to do something with a palette knife, and I started layering on thick, and then of course, little to my knowledge at the time, the gouache was just far too thick and it cracked, and it created this interesting technique and texture. It's very different, nothing I really do at the moment style wise, but it's something a bit different and just a bit of fun to play around with. I then used the same acrylics that I did on the first page, and I chose just one purple and a white, and I wanted to create some artwork just using those two colours. It's gotten a bit grotty from this side, but yeah, just using those two colours, I wanted to create some artwork with those, so that's what that is. Then we were playing around with some watercolours here. Often you see, like on Instagram and stuff, when you're scrolling, kind of really easy ways to fill a sketchbook page and things like that. So that was one of these that I saw. It was very much layering up just different techniques of using watercolour to create this really deep look of flower field or a wildflower garden, and I really like the way it turned out actually. It's something that I definitely will use in the future for creating artwork. And then again, this was using a really limited paint supply colour palette. It was, I think, 3 or 4 colours and white, and I just created this kind of rolling hills painting here. Very nice. I quite liked that one. I enjoyed doing it. I've enjoyed working with the acrylics in the beginning of this sketchbook, so something that I might have to go back to in the future. So from one Bamburgh Castle artwork to another, this is another Bamburgh Castle artwork, but I think I received some watercolour brush pens this year, and I decided to do it, and then I think I just lost interest in it. It wasn't turning out how I wanted it to turn out with those supplies, and in the end I think I worked on this about 3 different sessions, just kept flicking back to this page and thinking I need to improve it, and so I would add layers. So I think the first layer was all the brush pen and some watercolour, then I went over the top with some just water-based felt pens to try and bring out some of the shapes, and then I think I went back over with some fine liner to try and neaten it up in this corner, and clearly lost interest before I reached the rest of it. So not the best artwork, and a damn sight different style, let's say, to the initial page of this sketchbook here. Then we moved on to just doing some flower studies. I really like these, just some simple ones. I think there's these are acrylic here, these are watercolour, and my polychromos pencils there, and I think this one might be a gouache one in the middle, but just some really simple studies of some flowers. Then again, So I'm changing and flipping between different mediums, different styles. Nothing's really the same, and that's just my artwork. I think I've noticed that throughout many of my sketchbook tours, and if you haven't seen those, do hark back to them. They are very interesting, especially my big A4 sketchbook that I completed recently. That took me a fair few years to complete, and you can definitely see a progression in style and a progression in skill even. And this is very much the same. So on the left here, I think I used the brush pens that I'd received and try to do a bit of a quick study of a cow, and then I move on to using my trusty dip pen. If anyone's been following me for a while, I use this quite often. It's just a travel little ink pen, so I can easily take it around with me without damaging the nib, and it's no brand, it's just something I received off a friend when they didn't want it anymore, and I just use my FW acrylic inks to dip in and create some artworks, and this is one of them. You'll probably see some more later on in this, but this is a lovely frog. It's really textured. My ink pen definitely chewed into this paper quite heavily, but it creates this really nice texture, almost like you're feeling this frog's, this toad's skin. It's very interesting, but I really enjoyed doing that one. Then moving on, I think I started inking another thing on this side, not really thinking that because I'd heavily scratched this side of the paper it was going to just chew up the paper. You can just about see where I'd inked something here, and I think I was testing out some of the glittery FW acrylic inks, and it just did not play well with this ink pen. It just did not flow off it very well, and so I struggled to do it, and it chewed up the paper. So I tried to cover it up, and I tried to be a bit artsy and create this little mushroom on there. You can't really see it on camera. I will try and lighten this footage. I'm not sure, it's looking a bit dark to me, but yes, I was just trying to cover something up there, so hence why it's a bit messy. And then again, using my acrylics, I think the song Flowers by Miley Cyrus came out at the point I did this, and I really liked the music video where she's in this golden dress, and I just really liked it, so I decided to paint it in acrylics. And I always say to myself that I'm not very good at portraits and things, but I have done a fair few over my sketchbooks, and I do really like them. Maybe I should lean into them a bit more and do some more of them, but that's what that is. That's an homage to Miley Cyrus and the Flowers song there. And then I believe this year I was using a lot more of my Winsor Newton pigment markers and also my Caran d'Ache Neocolor pastels, and I created some mixed media birds here. For a while I did sell these as stickers. Actually no, I didn't even sell them. I think I included them as freebie stickers for a few months, and if you'd receive the one here and there, it's just like leftover stock that I include these days, but I really liked this, especially this, I think this is a reed warbler or something along those lines. I really like all of these, but it's just some quick bird studies there. Then we went on to just doing some more studies. Again, a lot of this is testing out supplies and just having a little bit of fun. I often take my sketchbooks to when my families or my partner's families when I'm visiting, and it's just something quick that I'm doing. I just take a very limited supply and I just do something really quick as a study and to keep up my art, doing art every day if I can help it. So this is just a pencil sketch, and sadly a lot of these I should have fixative because it's kind of transferred some of the colour onto different pages, so I really need to remember to do some fixative on each page. But yeah, a little pencil study of a rat, I believe that is, and then some polychromos pencils here, my Faber-Castells, to do a little cockerel study as well. I think there were some cockerels in my mum's garden, hence why I did that. Then this very much turned into a bit more of a travel sketchbook, I will admit. Going forward, there's much more travel artwork in here than there is just random studies, so it will intermix from now on. So this is 2023. Natalie, my partner, took me to Lake Windermere for my birthday as a little weekend away, and it was very windy, so I remember we walked around Lake Windermere and we found a little cafe on the side, and I decided to whip out a couple of supplies. I did a little pencil sketch study here. You can see the rain and the sun rays coming down, mixing in there, and then I thought I would try and do a bit more of an abstract colour way for the landscape. So this is the edge of Lake Windermere looking out over some of the mountains in the distance there. So just a little bit of a study. Then I believe the first or the second Wonder Woman film. I just watched it, I can't remember, it might be the first one, and I again did a little acrylic study. Actually, this might be gouache. No, it's gouache. This is gouache. I did a gouache study of the Wonder Woman actress in her Wonder Woman gear, and I really like that film. I think it's a brilliant film, and I just really like the character, and I thought it was a really nice one to do, and I think I captured all the moody and the shiny and all the different elements of that portrait there. I'll show you a close-up of it. And I think I didn't really like whatever I'd done below the bust region, so I just covered it up with some vinyl. That's pretty standard for me. Although, I have noticed in the last 2 sketchbooks, I've not actually stuck pages together. In the past, I had a really bad habit of, if I messed a page up and I hated it, I would glue the 2 pages together, and I would never want to see the artwork ever again. But I've been better. I'll cover it up, but I'll cover it up with something. Even if it's not very good, I'll leave it. So I feel like I'm getting a little bit better with that, which is good. Then we went to the Cairngorms in Scotland. This is kind of an annual camping trip we like to do. However, the last couple of years we haven't done it. So we've just not had the time or the capacity, or we've had Mabel, our new Springer Spaniel puppy, this last year, and it's just restricted us because we don't know how she's going to be for a longer camping trip. So this is actually back from 2023. I didn't actually realise we'd gone in 2023. Oh, so I think we missed the year before this one, and then we missed this last year, so we've missed 2 years in a row. Well, 2 years kind of in a row with 1 year in between. Anyway, that's besides the point, you don't care. This was that camping trip, and it was the camping trip that rained for the entire week. We had a week full of rain. We were pitched up on a very cobbly, stony floor, and it was quite miserable, so we tried to make the most of it. So we did a really long walk. This is actually the map of our campsite. It's called Glenmore. It's the beautiful campsite, and it's right next to Loch Morlish. And basically, these are all the mapped walks that you could do. It obviously spans out a lot further, and we did go a lot further, but this was the main one that we love to do, which is a walk from Glenmore up to the Green Loch. And the Green Loch is beautiful. And on this particular campsite, and as you can see, this is our tent, and we had to makeshift a little tarpaulin and just pitch it up so that we could cook outside of the tent, because obviously you don't want carbon monoxide poisoning, so we had to fashion a lot of things to try and keep us dry as much as possible. And we did, on this particular sketch that I did here, we did a walk from Glenmore to the Green Loch as we usually do, but it started heavily raining, so on the way back there is a little pub just next to Glenmore that we decided to cheat our camping experience and go and have a drink, and that is where I proceeded to paint and ink this lovely, lovely duck. Which I'm really proud of. I really love it. I really love the feet especially, so I'm hoping that I'm able to lighten this footage after this segment because it is quite dark. But that's from that trip there. Then this was actually a video. I was trying to choose what art supplies I wanted to take to Italy with me for our Italian trip. So there's quite a big gap between this and this, because this was 2024, this was 2023. So as you can see, I was doing this sketchbook concurrently with the A6 version of this sketchbook and also my A4 big paper chase sketchbook as well. So there's quite a lot of gaps in this one in particular. I'm hoping my ones going forward would be a full year, if not less than that, to fill. But I was trying to decipher what colours of this Winsor Newton pigment marker I wanted to take to Italy with me, and so I found a reference of an Italian building with all the warm kind of yellows and oranges that the building seemed to have there, along with the sea, etc. So this was actually a video that I did and a piece of artwork that I created using my Winsor and Newton pigment markers. Then we moved straight on to the Italy trip. I took quite a lot of supplies on that. The supplies here on the left are the, I'm trying to remember, the Derwent Inktense blocks. I did this on the plane. I just had a picture reference of a pigeon that I took in the garden a couple of days prior, and I created this kind of abstract colourway of that pigeon using those Derwent Inktense blocks. I really like that one. And then again, I showed all of these in a bit of a holiday art flip through, but this is sat down on the marina in Sorrento in Italy, and the marina is called Marina Grande, and we were sat down on the side of the harbour, and this was kind of this really intense stare way all the way up to this hotel at the top of the hill, and it looked really beautiful. It's not actually finished, this painting, but I quite liked that it was half done, with a bit of detail down here, and that's what kind of your imagination can take you up to the rest of it. Then for the rest of that trip, for one of the days we went up this gondola. It went up 1,092 metres, up to Mount Faito, I think it's called. It was beautiful. However, on the way up, I just didn't expect to feel like this. I don't really fear heights very much, but for some reason, as we were going up this gondola, I don't know, the fear really hit me, and I just could not look out the window. And so we got up to the top, we went for a quick walk around there, and we were very high, so we had some beautiful photos. And then on the way down, for some reason, I was able to look out the window and walk around a little bit more, so I managed to do that. But it was quite an experience, and I feel like going up a gondola now, I would be less fearful of it, but it was a very nice experience. So I stuck the ticket down there, and I did a quick bit of artwork of what the gondola looks like, just as a bit of a memory there. And then likewise, some more memories from that trip. We have a bowl of lovely pasta we had there, the Marina Grande kind of insignia for that marina, and then a little hark back to a cappuccino at a lovely taverna that we went to as well. And then the final two pieces of artwork from that trip, I did quite a lot on the Italy trip, was, we were obviously based on the marina, so I did a quick study of one of their boats, their fishing boats, and then I found this lovely piece of pottery on the beach side that I did a quick etching of, which was lovely. I think it was a piece of an old tile, and it had this beautiful kind of texture and pattern to it. It was lovely. And this is another view from the Marina Grande of this lovely bay here, and behind that is a lovely lagoon which we did visit on a different day, so I thought that was a really nice memory of that, and of course a little snippet of the box of one of the limoncellos we drank whilst we were on the trip. And then a lot of you may recognise this artwork. This is the artwork from my Rainforest launch, so if you want to check that out, do head on over to my website, www.lucylocksart. That website has a Rainforest series tab where you can have a look at everything that is to do with the rainforest. I have plenty of different products on there, pencil cases, to-do lists, notebooks, washi tapes, all sorts of things, and this is the artwork that made some of it up. So we have this lovely toucan here, all done in watercolours, these, nothing else added, just watercolours by themselves. Then we have some lovely plant life, and then moving on to some more fern leaves and some monstera leaves, and then we went on with some vines. So I used a lot of these assets and I made them into different scenes and added them to the rainforest scene that I did in my A4 sketchbook as well. And again, just some more picture plants, some more ferns and leaves, and some more vines there. And then just recently, again, I wanted to test out what supplies I wanted to take on another trip when I went to Greece with my partner's family. So I was just testing out what I could use it for, and was testing out some of my graphite blocks mixed with some watercolour pens. And here this was using some of the graphitint paints, really lovely. I received them in a scroll box a very long time ago, and they're really lovely. They're graphite based watercolours, and they have a subtle hue of colour running through them, and so you can get really moody little paintings like this, so I really like that. This is a bit of a funny one. I was really ill and I wanted to try and get back into doing some artworks, and so I whipped my pencil out and found a picture of my partner Natalie. This is not a very good representation of her at all. I didn't really do her justice, but I thought it was quite funny to leave it in the sketchbook, and it just shows where I need to work on when I am doing portraiture in pencil especially, but I just thought it was quite a fun little addition to my sketchbook. And then again, this was me getting back into my artwork. I just whipped out my Polychromos pencils and found a reference of this seal, and I just thought it was a really lovely shape and different angle of a seal that you don't often see, and I thought it was a bit more sketchily done and just a bit easy and quick just to get me back into doing artwork again. Now this page, I hate these two pages. Now this is what in the past I would have glued together, but I quite liked that I was kind of linking to, where's the page? The page where we did some swatches here. I thought I can't just have one page of swatches, so I decided to do my swatches for that Greece trip in here so I knew what would work together. And I created my own little ink pen. It's a really wide pen, so if you want to see the video, I did a video on this as well. This shows all of that as well, and I just did some different swatches of different supplies and see how they work together like this. But it has created this bit of a random mess of a page. I think maybe a little drawing over this might be quite nice, so maybe something in the future I might do if I feel the need to, but I'm quite happy with the way the sketchbook turned out anyway. Then onto the artwork from Greece. So again, I showed a little bit of this in a video where I was finishing some of the artwork off, so some of this might be a bit of a repeat if you've watched that video recently. But we went to Halkidiki in Greece, and it was a really gorgeous little holiday. There was a lovely beach with these lovely parasols that you could sit under, which was really, really nice to go there. And they also had parasailing on the beach too, so I drew that, all done in watercolours. And then here I found a little gecko, and Apple kind of information told me it was a spotted or a common house gecko, which kind of would make sense. And I started doing it in my brush watercolour pens, and I hated it immediately, and I'm really annoyed that I did it on this page with these two because I really like them. But yeah, it is what it is, and I tried to rectify it with something else and it just smudged all the paint, so I've kind of left it, and actually the artwork from the other side has come through anyway, so it is what it is, and not all your artwork in your sketchbook is going to be perfect, but I'm learning to leave it and love it where I can. Then in the video I did recently, you will have seen this piece of artwork. So we went to a cave in Greece called the Petralona, if I can talk, cave, and it was really, really interesting. You got this really interesting little fake train bus thing up the hill to get to it because it's up a big hill. So I drew that from a reference photo I took, and then I used those graphy tint paints that I mentioned earlier where I could do the moody paintings, and I did a really moody painting of all the stalactites and stalagmites in there, and I really like the way that turned out. I think it's a really nice page, and again I kept the tickets and popped those in there too as a really nice memory of that trip. Then at the hotel there was this lovely little kitten, and all the kids there called it Coco, so I thought I would do an homage because on our last Greece trip in my A6 version of this sketchbook I did a painting of a kitten that was at that hotel called Gingerbeer, and I thought it was quite nice that I was kind of doing a memory of those two cats, and something to look back on because the cat was very cute, I must say. Then on that same trip we went on a big boat ride as part of an excursion, and we were able to dive off the boat and have a swim in the sea, and the sea was so clear and so blue, and there were loads and loads of fish about. So I took a photo from the boat before we got in, and this is what this painting is. It's a really nice little painting of the sea. So I'll show you some close-ups of these two pages because I really, really like them. And I'm hoping to do some posts on Instagram for these as well. I've not done any so far. I did actually film these for the video of the holiday artwork, but they actually didn't make the cut because I didn't really like them. I did a really quick study of a sunset over Halkidiki, and then there were loads of moths about, and I took a photo of one of them, and again my Apple information told me it was the hummingbird hawk moth, and I did use my watercolour brush pens for this, but I don't know, it just turned out really, really dark and not very nice, and I don't know why I did this background, but again, I'm learning to love and leave my less nice artwork and try to be more forgiving with my art, because you're never going to be good every single day. It's just, you're never going to do it, and you're never going to love everything you do. So I'm trying to be kinder to myself. So this is a sneak peek at something that will be in my autumn launch. I am doing some two inkings. I've got one from 2 years ago of Frankenstein's Monster, and I have this inking of Frankenstein's Bride, and I will produce some prints to sell in the autumn launch, so do keep an eye out for that if you do fancy grabbing yourself one. I did this again using my trusty ink pen and some FW acrylic inks, and I inked Frankenstein's Bride there, and I'm really, really pleased with it. So again, if you would like to grab yourself a print, just wait till the 27th of September where I will be releasing them with my autumn launch. Then for my partner's birthday, I booked a little camping trip to Tanfield near Ripon in West Yorkshire, and it was our first camping trip properly with Mabel, and we were just testing the water, so it was just a short weekend away, but we went for a few little walks and things and saw a few things, so I thought I would document them on my last few pages of this sketchbook, one of which was this lovely donkey here, a really cute little donkey, and I just thought I'd do a really quick painting. I have a water brush pen that I filled with my own ink, watered down, so it created this really nice grey colour, and I used that just to flesh out some of the darker tones, and then I added a little wash of some graphite blocks just to create that warm hue to its face. It's just a really quick sketch of that. Then on these next pages, this is Marmion Tower here. It used to be an old gatehouse to a castle that was in the Tanfield? Yep, Tanfield village, and then this is the church next to it here, and it's a beautiful picture I took. So I wanted to document it again. I used my Derwent graphite blocks to get the colour down, and then I used a fine liner just to add a little bit more detail, but I wanted it to be really rough. I wanted to add the texture back in, so I used the graphite blocks to create a wash of all the colour, and then I went back over with the graphite blocks just to add the texture over the top, and then I did fixative this one because it did keep transferring onto this side. Then this little sketch here is actually of Mabel. It's really rough. It doesn't actually capture her beautiful little cute face, but she got into the river at the campsite and she was swimming, and then she did this gorgeous gun dog pose with her left leg up there as she looked out, and it's a really beautiful picture. So I thought I'd just do a really quick sketch of that. And then the final page is just the end. I used some water-soluble pencils for this. I think they were Derwent, and just added some water and kind of created this really mystical looking ending to the sketchbook. But I'm really pleased with this sketchbook. I think it turned out really nice. There's definitely some standouts for me in here. Probably, God, actually there's quite a few. I think probably the first painting here, then moving on to my inking, then the portraiture of Miley Cyrus and Wonder Woman. I think they're my favourite. And then moving on to some of the other artworks. Obviously my assets for my Rainforest series I really love. And I actually think this painting of the little kitten as well is one of my favourites too. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed seeing another sketchbook flip through from me, and if you are new here and you really enjoyed seeing some of my artwork and my explanations behind it, please do check out the playlist at the end of the video. It will hark you back to my prior sketchbook tours, and if you are new here and you did enjoy, I really would appreciate a like, a comment, and I hope you consider subscribing so you can see more in the future, because I'm hoping to start a fresh new sketchbook now that I will focus on solely, so that we can complete them maybe a little bit quicker and a little bit more coherently in the future. So I hope you will stick around for that. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that video, and please leave a comment down below what your favourite artwork in this sketchbook was, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.